Hello everyone, welcome back. First and foremost, I hope everyone had a wonderful time over the holidays and a happy new year. I myself got to spend a little time with family, but also got sick in the process. Still feeling a little under the weather, but we're gonna send it anyways. Today we're gonna go in the past a little bit. Shoe0nHead put out a video about a year ago talking about the backlash that women who wanted to be traditional wives were getting. Now, a lot of this took place on TikTok. I don't really have a TikTok, so naturally, I'm gonna be late to the party. However, a buddy of mine brought this to my attention recently, so I figured we check it out. Now, I'm sure a lot of people already know it, but I don't, so bear with me and join me as we form this perspective. So, without further ado, all right, let's get into it. The TikTok TradWife epidemic.
Women. What are women? No, Matt Walsh, down, no, get back in your cage. Depending on who you ask, women are strong, independent, beautiful angels who can do no wrong, or evil, ungrateful, Not me though, I'm not like other girls. Today we are taking a break from my seemingly never-ending research into the male question, and we are talking about women.
Had to turn it up a little bit.
What Happened to Men, I talk about femboys. And in this video I'm talking about TikTok TradWives.
The term TradWife is trending online, fueled by a TikTok influencer who uses the term to refer to herself and how she sees her role in her marriage.
This isn't just about personal choice or individual preferences. It's advancing a right-wing political ideology and dressing it up as a lifestyle.
Oh, happy belated International Women's Day, everybody. Happy Women's History Month, in fact. I didn't even know it was Women's History Month until I saw this commercial from Hershey's.
My name is Faye Johnstone. I'm the Executive Director of Wisdom to Action. We can create a world where everyone is able to live in public space as their honest and authentic selves. See the women changing how we see the future at Hershey's, Canada.
Is that really the representation we want for women? Cookies and cream? Disgusting. The other day, this video of TikTok influencer SD Williams absolutely blew up on Twitter. SD is one of many in the new growing movement of TikTok TradWives. Women who quit their jobs and decide to be stay-at-home girlfriends, wives, or mothers, dedicating their time to domestic chores like cooking, cleaning, and taking care of their family. As soon as I saw this video of SD Williams, I was seething with jealousy. This woman looks like she jumped right out of a 50s Coca-Cola ad. She looks beautiful, confident, happy, everything the internet hates. So I defended the femboys, and today I'm going to be defending the TikTok TradWives. Both are very different things, but also kind of similar at the same time. Both are exaggerations of femininity and are seen as rebelling against society, depending on where you stand. Depending on which party you vote for, the red satanic pedophiles or the blue satanic pedophiles. Now, I happen to support both the femboys and the TradWives. Real controversial stuff happening on this channel, folks. Subscribe for more hot takes like, is mayonnaise too spicy? I think it's cool when people do whatever they want, despite how much hate is thrown at them. And wow, was there a lot of hate thrown at this woman. Turns out it's all women can choose to do whatever they want, until a woman chooses to do whatever she wants. Over the past few months, there have been dozens of articles on the growing epidemic of TikTok TradWives. Calling them classist, racist, heteronormative, disturbing videos featuring cis white women. Oh no, not cis white women. Articles calling the women insecure, telling them to just do BDSM instead. Articles saying they have no problem with their individual choices. But if this is the age of the TradWife, then I'm ready to die alone.
Then die. What do we do, argue with you? I'm not on the debate team. This isn't mock trial.
The articles about this were pretty bad, but the comments were even worse. Imagine being so scared of chasing your own dreams you decide to sell your soul to a man. Being a slave to a man isn't being feminine, it's being a slave. Please stop glorifying this. Spending every second of your life in service to men is not something to aspire for.
I mean, isn't it just a huge contradiction to be a slave to corporate America too? Like, I guess at the end of the day, you just pick your version of servitude that you can live in peace with, whatever form that may take.
This is what makes her happy, that's great. Looks like she loves her life and I'm ecstatic for her. But it's not condemning housewives. but literal male fantasy cosplay, LMAO. So does her husband beat and degrade her? Don't come crying to us girl bosses when your husband abuses you for dinner being cold. Stupid dumb girl who will end up with nothing when he leaves her for another one. I would love to come home from the construction site and slam her head into the fridge door for forgetting to put my beer in there, 1950s style. I would love to grab her by the hair and slam her face into the fridge. Fascist Barbie would need a lot more of that caked up makeup to cover the bruises on her face after I beat her for not having dinner ready on time. Why are they all so violent? These people need to be in prison. Women like this trigger a violent reaction in me. Yeah, we can tell. As far as I know, none of these women are telling people how they should live. In fact, SD Williams is doing the exact opposite.
The misconception about the TradWife movement, it's not really a movement. Nobody's pushing it. People are typically just living it and maybe showcasing their lifestyle like me. And we believe our place, specifically us as individuals, believe our purpose is to be homemakers. There are a lot of people trying to make this a sinister thing or put some other darker meaning behind the term TradWife. Nobody is doing that. We as individuals are just choosing to be homemakers. That's all.
Feminism is...
I mean, there's a little bit of the aesthetic, the pitches, the orientation is a bit historic, and I think that was intended to be that way, to say that it's like, oh, this is a modern take on it. It's not. Hence the hairdo and stuff like that. I think that is a little bit historic. Now, the idea that a traditional wife being new is obviously mind-blowing to me, because a lot of people in those comments obviously had nothing but resentment and bitterness towards the idea that this person is living life in a better fashion than they are, simply because better in the state of they're probably happier with where they are. And obviously that's going to be naturally more better than regardless of how much money you make, because obviously that's just financially better. And the one thing that you're going to constantly see is the violence portrayed, because a lot of people tie traditional wifehood to violence because of statistics from, the 1920s, 1930s, domestic violence, stuff like that. Yeah, domestic violence happened. But so do plane crashes. And we don't think that every time we get on the plane that it's going to crash. And I think that Shoe0nHead had a point that it was really focused around jealousy. Like, how dare this person be relationally successful while I can't, be happy while I can't, and live their life freely, unapologetically when I can't. And I think that that's really what you're seeing.
It's about personal choice. But you chose wrong, bitch.
Yeah.
Is condemning traditional wives. I'm so tired of these self-proclaimed victims. No one is coming after you. It's all in your head, my sweet aggrieved whites. Inclusion of others does not mean the exclusion of you. Breathe, whitey. It's gonna be okay. Name one person who is condemning traditional wives. I am. Okay, just because someone chooses to live an oppressive lifestyle doesn't make it any better. Gender traditionalism is toxic, period. Doing things for the sake of gender roles or gender tradition is toxic, period. In the end, this only benefits patriarchy. Individual choices do not exist in a vacuum. She's promoting a dangerous slavery mindset to young women. This is not real feminism. Feminism is about the emancipation of all women from the patriarchy, not just some women. Y'all are embarrassing. I love all these people like, nobody's condemning tradwives. And then there's like hundreds and hundreds of comments and articles and videos of people condemning tradwives. Tradwife until their toddler shits on them and their husband of 12 years, their senior, punches them out for not having dinner ready at 5 p.m. exactly. Yeah. You realize when you hit 40, your husband is gonna start having sex with one of your teenage daughter's friends, right? You know she's getting it from Tyrone while her husband watches. Writing whole-ass fanfictions about a woman they've never met. Oh, I bet she's so miserable, I bet he beats her. Oh yeah, I bet she's cucking her husband for Tyrone. Tradwife is when white blonde with big booba. Real tradwives don't have big fake tits. Stupid with fake tits. Every single tradwife account is just softcore porn from women with massive tits. This is giving off OnlyFans vibes. This is a fetish. She says in the video under she chose this life, and she did. It's a choice to be this stupid. You call yourself trad and yet you have big breasts. Checkmate. This right here is pure distilled coon brain. I implore you to step out of your goon cave and get some fresh air, please. Just because you find the woman hot doesn't mean it's porn. Can we stop calling this a fetish? Oh, thank God. Somebody normal. This is a well-documented white nationalist online trend. Oh, God damn it. TradWife, but she uses social media, lol. If she's such a TradWife, why is she on an iPhone? If she's so traditional, why is she using a cell phone? This sounds like conservative boomers when they're like, oh, you're a socialist? How come you have an iPhone? It's impossible to be a traditional wife when I'm a male. Hey, that is not true. It is 2023. We support trad husbands and boy wives on this channel. This would be fine if it weren't for all the whiny pick-me shit. Nobody cares if you want to cook and have big titties. Go have fun. Imagine being so insecure with your miserable life you have to do some 1950s Nazi cosplay to get any male attention, lol. Did he pick you, sis? Pick me, pick me, pick me. Hope he picks you, queen. This pick me shit. All this woman has to do to get picked is exist. I don't think she needs to make a big spectacle on TikTok to get male attention when she looks like this. Be serious. And also, can we just talk about this pick me shit? Pick me is an insult people throw at women when they aren't towing whatever the current NPC line is. Some of these people calling this woman a pick me have OnlyFans in their bios. You literally financially rely on being picked by men. If men didn't pick you, you'd be out of a job. And I'd have like 5,000 views per video, but...
Relational failure is typically the number one contributor to the bitterness that is felt towards other women, like the jealousy, the attack, the comparison is often because women are having a lot of relational failure, whether by choice, who they choose, even though a lot of women want to say, well, all men are shit and all men are bad. I get it, but you chose them, so why are you choosing shit men? And then the other idea is that they don't trust themselves to make decisions, or at least it starts to become a point where they stop trusting themselves to make a decision. So they give up on relational success, period. And whenever that happens, they see women who look like what men would choose. And then I feel like that's just that cognition triggering again. And it's starting to become even more common now. I feel like the more relationships don't exist in society.
When I do it, it's based. When you do it, it's cringe. I guarantee I can cook better than her. I can bake better bread than her, and my boobs are bigger. I just don't wear ugly dresses, and I work for a living. I'm not married, and I certainly wouldn't submit to a husband if I had one. Sorry, I was trying to find your fucking point. I'm actually a lot better and hotter than her, and I'm not married. Okay. I want her to peg me. Oh, I don't know how that one got in there. Sorry. I wish America could go back to the 50s when things were simpler. I'm secretly gay. I have polio. I'm not allowed to wear pants or go to college. I beat the shit out of my son and molested my daughter, and no one will ever do a goddamn thing about it. I can't get through my day without a shit ton of drugs. Most of those things still happen today, but the being on drugs one is funny because it's like, yes, it's true, women were on a ton of drugs back then, but I really gotta ask, like, do you know how many people are on SSRIs? How many people require them to function every day? The average woman is on nowadays would kill a 1950s housewife. I only take my ADHD medication sometimes, but I should be on like 4 other pills I'm prescribed, but I simply do not take them because I refuse to be a walking big pharma cocktail and my mental illnesses make me funnier. I'm sorry, I gotta say it, but all she's doing is dressing cute and cooking and cleaning. Is that what trad is? Honestly, I kind of agree with this one. Oh, you didn't DoorDash McDonald's? You made some ramen noodles tonight? How trad? You cleaned the f***ing toilet? How trad? You wiped your ass? Trad. I feel like millennials and zoomers have psyoped themselves to believe basic ass things like cooking food and cleaning the house are traditional. Or even more deranged, white supremacy. TradWives, sexism as a gateway to white supremacy. A common theme among the haters of
So what do we do when multiple cultures have traditional aspects of man and women or gender roles? What is it called when they're not white then? Are we saying that people from India, people from Asian cultures, are they white supremacists because they still hold nuclear families as their traditional values that they brought over with their culture? And they still practice it to this day. Are they white supremacists now as well?
Or TradWife friends is implying or even outright accusing them of covertly or overtly selling white supremacy to young women. There's nothing wrong with yearning to raise kids, bake bread, and keep a tidy home while your husband brings home the bacon. However, the most telling aspect of the TradWives hashtag is the other half of the term, wives. Women defined by their relationship to men, from the perspective of men, specifically men of the alt-right. The TradWife trend articulates not only women's roles over their choices, but also how the manosphere brings together those who feel blindsided by the feminist movement and want to teach women how to take care of their man and give birth to more white babies. This is how sexism functions as a gateway to white supremacy, men bonding over misogyny and rallying for the white race. So as far as I can tell, none of these TradWives mention being white or whiteness or any of that. These people are just kind of convinced that's what this is, that these homemaking lifestyle videos are actually a dog whistle, luring people into the alt-right, like me in 2015.
Yeah, it has to be political because otherwise they can't make sense of it. They have to put it in a box and label it so that way they can feel comfortable judging it. Otherwise, it's hard for them to look at it because it's intimidating, typically.
When I said man spreading, and then you went down the right-wing rabbit hole. Behind the rise of the online TradWife movement, trad ideology doesn't just extend to the 1950s housewife videos, it also has sinister connections with right-wing extremism, experts say. There was so much of this that even SD Williams, the main character of this anime, had to come out and say this: I do not support anything like white supremacy. I don't want to be associated with anything like that. Well, too bad, bitch. The experts are here.
It's giving blood and soil. Like, you know? I just think that if I was part of a movement that had a lot of crossover with fascists and neo-Nazis and Nazi culture, I would probably make sure that my propaganda for my lifestyle did not, like, emulate the 1920s and 30s. Just how I do stuff, though, you know.
Was it just me, or did it take it forever to say like 2 sentences?
First of all, what is this voice? I see you're happy. You know who else was happy? Nazi propaganda. It's like fake.
All right, cool. I'm glad someone else caught it.
As putting on a 1950s housewife dress and doing little cosplay on TikTok. Let's be serious for a second. Nobody doesn't care that much. And for the love of God, blend your eyeshadow. The desire to live in the 1950s ignores the reality of that decade. What's wrong with the TradWife trend is that it romanticizes a time when staying in the home and marrying a man as means for socioeconomic survival was mandatory, while women, people of color, and the LGBT community were nowhere near equal. When TradWives glorify this decade, they're glorifying a time that was actually pretty terrible for a lot of people. Oh, so you're a TradWife? Have you heard about a little thing called segregation? I don't believe any of these women want to bring back segregation or like polio. In fact, there are a lot of black TradWives too. It's like a whole thing. Honestly, this is the most feminist I'll ever say. I believe a lot of this bullying that these TradWives are facing comes from an underlying resentment or internal resentment we have towards traditionally feminine behavior. Let me just slip into video essayist mode for a second.
All right.
Does society hate femininity? I don't know. I don't think so, but it certainly sees it as weak. You see this, of course, with a lot of the right-wing macho shit. Drinking Starbucks is feminine and therefore weak. But you also see it on the left, or at least the liberal left. Liberal Hollywood, to be exact. And it's being disguised as progressivism. We see this a lot, but the two that immediately come to my mind are Lola Bunny and the green M&M. Okay, yes, this sounds silly, but hear me out. Watching Tucker Carlson's obsession with the green M&M losing her sexy boots was hilarious, but it is kind of weird how the vice president of M&M said they changed up her boots for sneakers to signify empowerment and confidence. There's also Lola Bunny losing her bunny curves. And the director of Space Jam 2 said it was because it's important to reflect the authenticity of strong, capable female characters. So why exactly is traditional femininity, whether it's female clothing or female bodies, seen as the opposite of strong and empowering? Why do women need to be masculine to be considered strong? And it's not just female clothing or female bodies that are considered weak. It's also traditional female personality traits. I'll give you 3 examples off the top of my head. From the new She-Hulk show. Jennifer Walters has arrived, and she wants nothing to do with saving the world. She's ready to be honest about life, with her newfound powers, juggling her career and dating life. to the Snow White remake. Rachel Zegler says she's bringing a modern edge to Disney's live-action Snow White. She's not going to be saved by the prince or dreaming about true love. And even the new Little Mermaid remake. I'm really excited for my version of the film because we've definitely changed that perspective of her just wanting to leave the ocean for a boy. It's about herself, her purpose, her freedom, her life, and what she wants. As women, we are amazing, we are independent, we are modern. We are everything and above. I'm glad Disney is updating some of those themes. There are dozens and dozens of other examples, but you get it. If you've been alive for the past 10 years, you get it. The seemingly unending push of the strong, independent woman who don't need no man, who focuses on herself and her career, who has no time for true love or saving the world. Who cares about other people? It's called self-care, sweetie. It's no wonder people see something like this, a woman unapologetically embracing her femininity, not just in style, but in lifestyle. Embracing a lifestyle where she puts her family and her loved ones first, above herself and above her career. It's no surprise people see that and think it's subversive, because it is. Okay, that concludes video essay mode. I look like a drag queen. There is, of course, another side of this, the conservative side, which believes that all women are just meant to be in the home, and that men should do none of the housework.
I don't think it's subservient because I think that a lot of women that achieve levels of maturity is because they've learned to care about something other than themselves for once. And you often see that when they have children. And so naturally, here's the first time in their life where they're now concerned about another life being or sentient being other than themselves. And I think that that's kind of where they grow up a little bit. And if they don't have that, typically they only care about themselves forever. And well, there's an issue there. And the issue that you come across is fulfillment. And fulfillment is something that I've covered previously on the channel, but it's something that when you don't have kids, you're often less fulfilled than the women with kids, because women with kids, 9 times out of 10, consider it the most fulfilling part of their lives. Now, why is that? Why not just stick to a career? Well, a lot of the times that they stuck to a career is typically because they had relational failure. And there's a lot of times where whatever they pursued, they did try in relationships. They did try in various forms with men, and it didn't work out. Now, for whatever reason, maybe they were the problem. Maybe their choices were the problem. That doesn't really matter. The point is that they end up sticking with something that doesn't fail them. Career, corporate, professional pursuits, which is fine. The issue with that is women don't often find fulfillment through career, and they only supplement the fulfillment of families for career when families didn't happen for them. And there's a lot of association between when women find fulfillment, and it's typically in their 30s, and it's typically when they have children. Now, a lot of people will theorize that, okay, it's because they hit their check in the box, they did their school, they did their career, whatever. But that's often not the case. What the case is that they do go to school. Yeah. They do find a career. Yeah. They end up leaving. They end up quitting. They end up shifting around, and sometimes end up in careers that had nothing to do with school. Why? It loses its traction. It loses its meaning. And a lot of them come to a point where they just don't want to be alone. And that's not to say that they need to be housewives, as I'm guessing where this sentiment is going. My biggest point was, for women, I just want women to be fulfilled. I want women to find a genuine sense of purpose where they can find enjoyment in their lives, not in the sense that they're seeking happiness, because that's immature impulsivity, but in the sense that they find sustainable sense of purpose. And the studies that I've seen, it's in families. So guess what I push forward? Build yourself to the point where either you're a better person in relationship, or you're more mature enough to make better decisions in reference to relationships. Guess what? I guarantee you're going to find someone admirable enough to change that perspective that you may have about families, to instill trust in your relationship that may shift what matters to you. Like having children. Doesn't mean you have to, but improving yourself allows for the faith and confidence for something more to exist than just two people in a dynamic. And that's one thing. And then obviously with the conservative thing, the conservative notion is that the idea that more families equals more middle class means a higher upkeep to tax pay and stuff like that. So they often had a lot of propaganda surrounding the idea that people should have families and this should be the motto. And obviously I'm take a wild guess and say that's what she's about to get into.
Apparently.
I do not know how to operate the laundry machine. When my wife said, "Oh, could you go put the laundry in?" I have done it. I have had to ask her to guide me every step of the way. That is not something that comes naturally to men.
I'm sorry, but it is very weird that a grown-ass man does not know how to do laundry. Apparently, he's not even the only one.
All right, Drew? Well, this is a trick question because I have not done anything around the house for 40 years.
Ben, you answered dishes. Mrs. Shapiro said, "I'm not sure Ben knows how to do laundry, so I'll go with the dishes."
Ben, your wife is a whole-ass doctor and you don't know how to work a laundry machine? What? Now, although I have a more socially libertarian outlook on this than they do, I do actually agree that one parent staying in the home with the kids is the best thing for a family. But my mom stayed home for a while, and then they switched, and my dad stayed home for a while. And to this day, I have a great bond with both of my parents, and I wonder if that is part of the reason why. I was lucky, and I wish everyone could be that lucky.
I think the greatest contributor to having the best bond with both parents is when both parents have identified roles within the home. And you'll often see children who think highly of their familial past or basically their development experience with their parents. It's because they both had that conscious decision to understand each other's lanes and then work together in that process of who's involved with what and who's in charge of what and things to that essence. And I feel like because that was solidified between two people, it allows their child to understand who is for what. And I think that creates a balance of strength and weaknesses, because when people, coexist, the idea is to reach a equivalent plane of existence where they can see eye to eye and know who's supposed to take over at what point. I think that creates a lot of cohesiveness. And when children see that, they start to build their own sense of confidence and trust in their own parents, for that matter. And I think that plays a huge part.
Being a stay-at-home parent is a job, and honestly, it should pay like a job. I can't think of a more important role in society than raising the future generation. In fact, this is a major reason of why I consider myself a socialist. I believe culture can trickle down from economics, and I believe certain policies that people like Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro might disagree with, could make it possible to get back to that time where people can raise a family on one income. If someone is able to live that traditional lifestyle, they are extremely privileged to do so. Because let's face it, men are f***ing broke nowadays. There have been several articles about how women are single because they can't find a man who makes more money than they do. Because no matter what women f***ing say, they want a provider. Women hate the wage gap until a motherfucker asks to split the bill. They want someone who can take care of them and take care of their children. Most men can't f***ing do that. They can barely afford to take care of themselves.
Well, yeah, in a lot of cases, you have men who will be with an uneducated woman or an unsuccessful woman. 9 times out of 10, that's the case. However, on the opposite side of the spectrum, women will only choose equivalent levels of success or education or higher. They typically don't date down, they date up, whereas men will date down. And with the capability of women nowadays, well, you have a lot of women getting funneled through the education environment. You're getting funneled through career, professional pursuits and stuff like that. So naturally, they're dating up. So you need to be in that scale or higher in order to be in a relationship. Otherwise, they're going to think you're a loser, and that's obviously not attractive, which is why, that's not to say that, women never date down. No, that's not what I'm saying. We're talking about most likely case, okay? Let's not deal in absolutes.
It is nearly impossible to take care of a family on one income in America today. But why? Some people say it's because of capitalism. Other people say it's because of feminism. And some really insane people will say it's a little bit of both. The thing is, feminism has completely failed women. To be more precise, lean in, pink pussy hat, girl boss, neoliberal feminism has completely failed women. Whew. Women aren't fulfilled. Men, for that matter, are not fulfilled. Everyone's depressed, lonely, overworked, atomized, and many people, men and women, are longing for a time that probably will never exist. A time that will probably never come back. A time of economic security, economic growth, community, strong unions, higher wages, affordable housing, racism, lobotomies, back when they put real cocaine in Coca-Cola. Put the cocaine back in Coca-Cola, you cowards. Sorry, scratch those last two things. You get what I mean, though. When I look at videos like this, I don't see a fetish. I don't see white supremacy. I see escapism from neoliberal hell world. And more importantly, I see someone doing what they want to do and not hurting anyone. There's nothing wrong with choosing to work for your family who loves you instead of a boss who hates you. There's nothing wrong with dedicating your life to something bigger than your next Amazon purchase. In conclusion, leave the TikTok TradWifes alone. If you like this video, please consider subscribing and donating to my Patreon, link down below. We're doing Discord movie nights together every month, and it's a whole lot of fun. So I would love to see you there. And stick around for the next video. Bye!
So that was Shoe0nHead's TikTok TradWife Epidemic. And so we kind of foresaw a lot of the issues that people have with it, I feel like. And there's a few things there that obviously I saw. Now, I don't think people understand the catastrophe that is relational failure. If we looked at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, connection and human connection is so paramount. And we just keep forgetting the idea that that matters. And so in our bitterness, we lash out. Amidst our failure, it requires failure. I don't think people that are historically relationally successful rely on that bitterness for any sense because they're too busy being happy in their relationship. So they're not out here disgracing themselves in the essence of what other people are doing. Like, that's the priority. As I said previously, it is so important for women to be able to accomplish that or achieve that at some point in their lives because they're too neurotic not to. And I know that it isn't cause and effect, but women's bitterness is often tied to their inability to form relationships. And it's not the idea that we form interpersonal relationships, it's the idea that we retain them. One of the things that I always say is progress made isn't progress retained. And just because we found that we can make steps, it's a whole different ball game to keep them and then make more. And when we fail, we often don't credit the failure to ourselves, especially if we're immature. Nah, it's the men we choose and the men ain't shit. And why are all the men so bad? Well, who chose them? And why are you choosing from this sample size? So there's that. But another thing that I wanted to elaborate on, and it's something that happened at the beginning of the video, was servitude. Why are we tying servitude to slavery? Okay, let's unpack that a little bit. Men serve their countries. Is that slavery? Last time I checked, it was considered honorable. Men serve their deities, their God, Christianity, Catholicism. Is that slavery? And another point to be made, why is one of the objective measures of immaturity someone who is consistently self-serving? Perhaps there's a sense of fulfillment or duty found in pursuing something that is greater than yourself. And you'll often find that the most faith and purpose is typically derived from men or women pursuing something that is more than them. I think that what we're seeing is a complete dysfunctional misunderstanding of what it means to have servitude in your life. It's not slavery. It's a choice. You're not put there because you think you need to. You're put there because you want to. And I think that any women who find or have the privilege of finding an admirable person, they're more likely to give that person that power because they know in turn that admirable person is going to care for them as much as they already care for themselves. So the idea of only being selfish and only being concerned with you isn't as much of a necessity if you know or trust that somebody has you. And obviously you saw a lot in the comments that when he leaves you for someone else. Well, a lot of women do have that insecurity, and I think that is a fear. I think that is a concern. But those are the concerns of women who are either incapable of forming or developing trust and faith with another human being, people who have been betrayed in the past because of their own naivety. But in the cases where women see that fear and still push forward, it's because they're more concerned about building trust with another human being, where they might reach a level of success in that relationship where that's not a concern anymore. It's just like, no, we understand each other very well. And this isn't in the essence of, what I understand and what I think he understands. It's like, no, we are completely cohesive. And I don't have to guess what he's thinking. I don't have to assume what he's thinking, because he's already communicated enough to me for me to trust him. And obviously, that's where the fear is often dispelled. And I get it. It's a risk on both sides, because men risk as much as women do. It's just in different dimensions. Now, we could go and we could objectively measure, well, who loses what in the essence of chaos? Sure. But we lose in two different ways. And we need to stop thinking that this traditional wife concept is new, or that it's only historic. We've had traditional women our whole lives. They're just not these lonely, bitter types filling up the social media spaces, because women who are living fulfilling lives typically aren't on social media and often have the least amounts of uses of social media in general. And that's not much of a problem. They're just more focused on what's going on in their life and the things that they care about, to be concerned about what the hell the world's doing. That's something that we all kind of need. The idea that women shouldn't be in the home is outrageous to me. It's not in the idea that they need to be. It's in the idea that there was an agreement in a relationship that allowed them to be. Because the one thing that I always pitch is, if a man is going to provide structure, it's the woman's responsibility to fulfill that structure. If a man gives space, a woman fills that space. And I think that if that isn't the most cohesive outcome that you can come down to, then maybe you just don't understand relationships, and you don't understand the importance of responsibility delegation. Maybe you don't understand the importance of why gender roles existed, and why men typically are better at providing structure than women are, and why women are better about social environment and community and social elements and being able to have compassion within a home, or the emotional atmosphere, if you will. And we often have these strengths typically derived from thousands and thousands of years of evolution. And it's like, we keep acting brand new for the sake of being more masculine. I'm gonna tell you right now, women, you're not going to be more masculine than men are. That success is supposed to look like a man. That's the most immature shit I've ever heard. There's feminine maturity, there's masculine maturity. Reach it. The idea that you need to be being masculine means you're mature. No, that's not what that means. You could be immaturely masculine, and just as much as you could be as immature in femininity. It's the same outcome, and it's literally the same thing. And that's why they're making these changes and taking away a woman's physical appeal, because, oh no, that's not what good feminism is. It's like, what good feminism is within the realm of femininity, what only women could typically achieve. So why not achieve that? Why think that you're less than the people that are more masculine than you? That makes no sense to me. I feel like there's just an identity crisis happening in society where everyone wants to be the man. It's just like, that's not how it works, because you don't have tens of thousands of years of biology that indicate that answer. Sorry. And guess what? You're never going to have that biology shift either, because we're never going to be in an age where women are going to have to undergo what men had to undergo way back in caveman days. It's never going to happen. And we are where we are now, and we might even regress because of technology. That's a different conversation. But the point is, I think there's something sacred about a mutual respect and understanding between two people. And if a decision is made where a man makes that decision where, you know what, I'm gonna push myself even harder so that way you can fill the space that I provide, and I'm gonna trust you to fill that space with respect to my person, and I'm going to be in consideration of you and anything you need in order to do so. I think there's something beautiful about that. And if anyone wants to bash on my perspective of what a successful relationship is, go for it. That's my personal opinion. At the end of the day, I think what I think for a reason. And all we're seeing nowadays is my mentality, lashing out, getting angry, paying no mind. Keep working on you, and maybe find yourself in a relationship that makes you happy and fulfilled more importantly. With that being said, thank you for everyone who watched the video. If you liked the video, like it. If you enjoyed the content so far, consider subscribing. If you disliked the video, dislike it. Hopefully you never see me again. But leave a comment in the comment section down below for what your perspective is on women trying to be traditional wives or retaining the value of tradition in current society. I understand capitalism kind of gets in the way a little bit. I understand that it's harder to reach the American dream than ever before, and it has progressively gotten harder, especially with property, inflation, tax, employment not matching the rise of inflation. I'm well aware of the economics. I know what the issues are, but let me know your perspective, and I'll be looking forward to hearing it. Thanks again, and I'll go ahead, see you next time.